In today's world where everybody's trying to, keep up, hey, he can run faster, he can jump higher, hey, they're better looking. Well, with art, it's all about self-expression, and it's personal, and it's a good outlet for emotions. It builds self-esteem, and it makes you feel good. My name is Eric Strauss. I live in Ellijay, Georgia, and I'm a contemporary metal sculptor / architectural blacksmith. I did a demo today to show people for a public piece of art for the city of Johns Creek. I was showing them my leafing technique, because it's going to be a big 12-foot horse rearing back. Today was just a demonstration of a little bit of the technique and trying to introduce some of the younger kids to art and hopefully inspire somebody. I was lucky I grew up around art, so I guess I took it for granted. So my grandfather was collecting art, and my first art show, I was 8 years old when I went to it. And I'm 58 and I can still remember that show. But I never knew I was going to be an artist, but I always loved art. I liked to draw and loved clay and arts and crafts, photography. And really it's my life. I've lived the artist life for most of my life. So a lot of people say, oh, well, you can't do this or you can't do that. And you have to do what you believe you think you can do. Because if I listen to all the people that's, tried to steer me, a lot of it's family and other directions, I wouldn't be here today doing this. Kind of how I've been doing this 34 years. I've just, it didn't come easy, and it still doesn't, but I just constantly, just never stop. Well, I used to live in Shakrag, which is in the Johns Creek area. I lived on a horse farm for 10 years there. Takes that razor sharp burr off. My first thought immediately was revisiting my equine series. I wanted to bring back just a little bit of what used to be in Johns Creek before it became the Johns Creek of today. People have always adorned horses, whether it's a Native American painting a spot or if you went to India and it was super lush, with jewels and beads, and it's just kind of like a parade horse. Because when people are going to look up at it, they're going to see something different all the time, is what I hope. That was part of my challenge, taking my old style, which is minimalistic stainless steel, more like a line drawing out of metal. And I wanted to come in and do something with more structure. Wanted the horse to kind of branch up, and then I started thinking of wind and water. It constantly changes, almost like a living organism till I'm finished, because it's just subject to change at any given time. I'm trying to make a treasure hunt for the eyes, visually, to where there's a lot going on that you can't really see it all at one time. It was more of not really a physical challenge and the actual structural working. It was more mental, of just trying to keep, the artistic inspiration and ideas. And so I started it at a really weird time. When you're creating art, it's really, when do you stop? And it's usually a deadline that makes you stop. I'm the kind of person that will work, all night, the night before it, just squeeze in every minute I can. I think public art helps define a community. It works in part of the history. It can be enjoyed by all people. This is something I can put my heart and soul in, and that I know people will get to at least see it, which means a lot to me. You know, there's more thought to, like, when a casual person looked at it, they would never think, why don't you have a hoof on that?
Right.
I want a hoof.
It's like, that's a swamp.
And it's not really, it is a horse, but it ain't a horse.
Right. This is a representation.
Yeah, it's my version of, and then I was also thinking of, you know, it's supposed to be community involved in the project.
Yes.
So all these little pieces are actually, like, you know, it's so international in that area in Johns Creek. Last time you were here, I didn't have near as much of the horse built out. So since then, I've done a lot of work on the tail, the inside legs, the outside legs. I totally rebuilt the hindquarters and rounded it up. And then I went up, feathered in the mane. I've added the face and head, and now I'm working my way back down. And, so it's changed hundreds and hundreds of pieces. I realize the perspective, because it's going to be on a 21-inch pedestal, and you'll be sitting in a car, and some of it you'll be looking down on the piece when you pull in. Some of it you'll actually be looking above it. So I realized crouching down in that position, you were going to see a lot more of the horse than I thought you would. So I had to address all the inside of the legs. And the way I built the top wasn't built when I did the bottom. So after I built the top out, I had to build the bottom to fit back in, because every action causes a reaction visually. And so it's just like a dancing metal, and I keep going around and around. But I'm getting close. It's kind of bizarre being inside a horse, you know. I tried to take selfies welded, but it didn't work because it shot over my shoulder and you couldn't tell I was in it.
Right.
But I thought it would be kind of funny. Yeah, there's been challenges is working on the head and the mane because of the height of it. So it's basically almost built one piece at a time. So it's a lot of up and down ladders and platforms and tables and fitting things, and then you got to scurry down to cut it, miter it, scale it, go back up, weld it, and it's like that pretty much day in, day out. And it was pretty challenging because it was super cold out, and you're working on this big cold piece of plate steel on the floor, and it wasn't a lot of fun. Basically, I'll be doing most of my finishing work next week, which will be a lot of grinding, welding, texturing in the vein stuff, call it blending it in. And so I've spent all this time pretty much piecing and cutting and welding and creating, and now I'm getting close to moving to the finishing stage where it will be just addressing the appearance of it opposed to actually building it. This is, you know, one of the biggest pieces I've built, but I've worked on big jobs like this before. A lot of it was big exhibits, and like a day or two after an exhibit that you'd spent half a year working or even more, and then all of a sudden everything's out of your shop. The only thing laying on the floor is usually bubble wrap, tape, packing materials, and your shop's a mess, and you're just looking around and you're like, it's just, and then like the next day you come in, you clean up, but then you literally have a huge adrenaline dump, and it's almost like, it's not really depression, but you're like, but the thing is, I have so much going on that I'm really not gonna miss a beat. We're going to use a low, which is like a big four-wheel drive forklift, or we're going to use my gantry, and the head unbolts, and so we're going to strap the head, unbolt the head, lower it onto one of my big tables, and then I'm going to get on the inside of the horse and weld up a structure that I can put a clevis and a strap to, and then we'll either use, same deal, we'll use a gantry or an all-wheel drive forklift. Gonna put it on a flatbed trailer with a dually, God willing, Johns Creek, here we come. That's the game plan. You know, it doesn't always go as planned, but I do have a plan. And a backup to that backup. It's weird because usually like you'll make a piece or if you install it, so you're not really there to experience it. So every day there'll be all these people driving by and seeing it, but I won't be there to experience it. So like at shows or events, it's kind of fun because you get to see people's interaction with it. But this is my first big public piece of art, so I'm pretty excited, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel, but it'll be strange to drive by and think, God, I spent a couple years working on that. It's actually there, because I'll have to pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming.